Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Shannon and I am a homeschooling mama to 8 kids. My oldest daughter graduated this last spring, so I only have 7 left in my home that I'm homeschooling. They range in age from 14 down to 4, and this is my 13th or 14th year of homeschooling, probably 14th if you count my oldest daughter's preschool year, and then kindergarten up through her senior year. So I've been doing this for a while. I can tell you that I do it much differently now than I did when I first started, and it doesn't look anything like it did then. But I've learned a lot along the way, and I've learned to relax a little bit and just let the kids learn naturally the way that God designed them to learn. So I asked for some questions, homeschooling questions, a while ago on my community tab, and I have a few questions that I'm going to go through today and answer. So I hope that this is a blessing to you and is helpful and encouraging in your homeschool as you teach your kids. The first question I had was how to teach multiple children at once. Depending on the ages and the subjects you're teaching, you can teach several subjects as a group in a group setting, family style. The way that you would do this is just to, like, if you're going to teach history family style, you read the book out loud to all of the kids and then you assign different things to each kid. We don't do a lot of worksheets in our house, a lot of busy work. So the way that we would do that is to read aloud our history book, and then I have the kids do notebooking. Sometimes I will assign the older ones a certain amount of sentences to write, and then the younger ones can just copy the title of what we were reading about, or I will write a sentence for them, or they dictate to me what they want written on their page, and then they also draw a picture that goes along with it. So that's one way that you can get in a subject with lots of different kids. Generally the rule is to teach to your older child. So if you have a middle school age kid and you also have a preschool age kid or a second grader, you want to teach to the middle schooler, and the second grader will catch whatever they catch, and they will continue to come back and review in the future years whatever it is that you're teaching them. So they don't have to catch everything, but I can tell you from my experience, from the time that all of my kids were little, well, from the time they were born, they sit with us at the table. If I have a newborn, the baby is strapped onto me or in the same room as when we're doing school. They are with us as we do school from the time that they're little. I just train them to sit in their chairs. I give them an activity or give them a little snack, and they're capable of sitting to listen for longer than people give them credit for. So it just takes some training and discipline to do that, but it's totally doable, and you can have all of your kids be taught at one time with the subjects like history and science and Bible. For the other subjects, math and language arts, that kids do on their own levels, that they need to do on their own levels, the way that I do those is when they're little, just starting out. Sometimes I will work with 2 kids at a time, sometimes it's only 1 kid at a time, but I generally will start with the youngest child first, and I set a timer, or I say we're going to do this many pages. We work through those pages, work till the timer stops, and then their time is up, and then I move on to the next oldest child. And then we do the same thing with them. They do 1 lesson or a timer or page number, amount of pages. I work with them. When their time's up, I move on to the next child. And as they get older, they gradually are able to do things on their own. They become more independent, so that the time that I spend with them just becomes a time of checking their answers, correcting them, helping them with anything they might need help on. And like right now, generally the older kids can get their independent work done on their own. I don't have to sit with them super often, just the time it takes me to check their answers and make sure that they are understanding what they're doing. So that is how I do all of my kids at once. Not at once. I don't teach them math and language arts does not happen all at once. As much as I want in my head a pretty picture of all my kids around the table quietly doing their math or their language arts, that is just not reality around here. So doesn't work that way. I have the older kids do their stuff independently. I work with the youngest first. Whenever he is done, he is free to go and play and do whatever it is he wants to do while I finish working with the other kids. So that's how we do it around here. I had another question asking what curriculum we're using and if there would be a reveal video. I've already released my curriculum choices for my 9th grader for this upcoming year. So if you haven't seen that video, make sure you go check it out right here or right here. Also, I will be doing more reveal videos. I'm still printing school books. I buy as much as I can that I know, you know, math and language arts that I know the kids are all going to be working through. I have purchased those on PDF, and so every year I have to print out the correct levels for the kids, and that takes me a lot of time. So I'm still working on that. Hopefully in the next week or so I will be done, because we're going to start school next week. So I'll be done with that, and we can and get some curriculum videos shot for you. But we are doing a few things differently this year. We're doing a co-op, which is something totally new for us. It will be a weekly co-op. The co-op will have some elective classes that my kids may not otherwise have gotten to take, but also some science classes and some writing classes. So it's going to be an interesting switch for us to see how that goes. But make sure you keep your eye out for the curriculum reveal videos to find out what those classes are. We also are doing something different with our history this year. I have decided to try Biblioplan, and we're going to do the medieval times. I'm actually really excited about it because it's, whenever I saw it and I was researching it, it turns out, this is the text reader for Biblioplan, turns out that it really is what I wanted to do myself, but I never could figure out exactly how to make it work. So I'm excited about that. Maybe I'll do an explanation video just telling you about Biblioplan and how it works and what you can do with it. So a few new things this year. Look out for the curriculum videos for the upcoming school year. Another question was, how do you remain confident that what you are doing is academically enough? Honestly, I don't always remain confident that what I'm doing is enough. It comes down to a lot of trusting the Lord that what I'm doing is going to be enough. Also, I'm not stuck in the little years anymore. I have kids that are older. They are maturing. They are choosing to learn things on their own rather than me teaching them to them. So I'm seeing the progress that they have made through the years. Even my oldest daughter, she always likes school. She loves to read, so school was not a hard thing for her. My 9th grader this year, school has been hard for him. He doesn't really have an interest in learning a whole lot of anything. And he's just now realizing, because he wants to be in the Navy, he's going to have to take tests to be able to do that. He's going to have to pass those tests, and he's realizing that he needs to get it going if he wants to be able to pass those tests. So he is starting to be more self-disciplined in wanting to learn things on his own, and he really is kind of just a tell me what I need to learn and I will do it, instead of picking and choosing what he likes. But he won't need to know all, you know, he's not super interested in history, he's not super interested in lots of scientific things, so he's not going to be a historian, so it's okay if he doesn't know a lot of the history, if he's not interested in that. It took me a long time to realize that my kids don't have to love all the same things that I love. I loved that Kaylee, my oldest daughter, liked to read. She was the one with that meme that says, you know, you're a homeschooler when your mom has to tell you to quit reading to get your schoolwork done. That was totally her. That's how she was. And whenever my son came along, and he wasn't necessarily a lover of reading because of his dyslexia, it's very difficult for him, I just thought my world was going to end. I thought it was the worst thing ever, and I had done something wrong, and I had screwed up, and he was just going to be terrible, awful, never learn anything. And it took me several years to work through that and realize that not every single person loves to read books like I do. So it's okay that he doesn't love to read. He still is choosing to read things on his own because there's things he's interested in, and he's realized that there are books about those things, and so he's reading different books on his own, listening to a lot of audiobooks, and learning things that I would not have taught him anyway, but he's learning them on his own because God has designed them to be naturally curious and want to learn things. So that is how I stay confident that what I'm doing is enough. Just seeing the outcomes of where my older kids are at compared to what we used to be, what they used to be, or how they used to learn. Also, a lot of being confident is choosing a curriculum that you trust. Whenever you have a curriculum that you don't necessarily trust the author, or you're not really sure if they knew what they were talking about, it makes it difficult to be content with what you're teaching them. Having a curriculum that you trust, or a style of teaching that you trust and know is going to work, is also really helpful. If you really, really want to teach your kids using living books, but you're using a workbook that they hate and despise, it makes it hard to be confident that what you're doing is the right thing to do and it's enough for your kid. Where if they're enjoying it and it's the way that you want to be teaching them, and they're learning and growing and making progress, then it's enough. If they're learning something they don't already know, you're doing a good job. So another question was, how do I know how much work is enough for high school level? In the states that I live in, I lived in Colorado, now we live in Missouri. In these two states, the homeschool laws are not strict at all. So I'm speaking from experience of living in Colorado and living in Missouri. In Colorado, the parent decides how many credits their child needs to graduate when they're homeschooled. Missouri is the same way. So when my oldest daughter started high school, I thought it was going to be a big ordeal, and I just was kind of lost. So I reached out to another homeschool mom in my church who had kids already in high school, asked her what she did. Her suggestion, which is my suggestion to you, is to contact your local public school, find out what their requirements are for a high school student to graduate, what kind of credits they need to have, how many classes they need to have. And then you also need to go to any colleges that they might be interested in applying to, if that's something that they want to do. And even if it's not, you could just ask around to a few colleges, get on their websites, see if you can find their entrance requirements. And then take those two things and kind of figure out on your own, if they really want to go to this college, they need to have those credits to get into that college. If they're not really sure what they want to do, but you know that if they were going to graduate from public school, they would need to have these credits, you can adjust that based on your own discretion of what you think that your kid needs to have. That is coming from states that don't have requirements for high schoolers to graduate. Now, if you live in a state that has a list of credits that your kid has to have to graduate, you're going to have to go by those credits, whatever those credits are. A credit hour for high school students is anywhere from 120 to 180 hours of work time. That equals 1 credit. Most curriculum companies like Masterbooks, which is what we use a lot in high school, they list on there how many credits their course is worth. Some of them are worth 1 credit, some are worth a half of a credit. So you just got to pay attention to your curriculum if you're going to use curriculum to see how much time your student is going to be spending doing that, and then calculate your credits off of that. One other thing I want to add is there are a handful of states that calculate their credits a lot differently than the rest of the states. So just be aware of that. I can't remember what all the states are. I think Idaho was one of them. But you really just need to contact HSLDA, look into the laws, of your state to homeschool and for graduates to graduate. So that's my suggestions for that. Okay, so that is it for all of my homeschool questions. I hope that was helpful for you. Make sure you leave any comments or questions down in the comment section below, and I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.